Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's One Piece Treasure Cruise video, since it is also One Piece Day, I want to do something special for the occasion, so I'm going to talk about and analyze the meaning behind the new Japan unit for One Piece Day, of course, the Straw Hat Crew. This unit won't be available in the global server for a while, and usually I do not talk about Japan legends, but this one piques my interest, and I also believe that generally, from what I've seen on social media, the One Piece Treasure Cruise community does not really understand the meaning behind the release of this unit. Quite a few players think this unit is underwhelming, or maybe not good enough, or even not hype to pull for in a Sugofest. Totally understandable, by the way. At the end of the day, every player has his opinion. But for me, this is an exceptionally designed unit for One Piece Day. I won't analyze their abilities and what they exactly do. You can read the main abilities on the screen right now, but I will talk more about the hidden meanings and the symbolisms behind this unit. First of all, for their captain ability, yes, the rainbow damage is not available to them when their HP is not full, but if we take into consideration that the Straw Hat Crew is the strongest they can be when they are all together and fighting together, that makes complete sense. Is it an inconvenience for you in-game? Yes, but it makes total sense based on the lore. Now let's see what each ability symbolizes and what character it represents. First of all, we have things to do with orbs. We have beneficial type orbs and we also have block slots turning to matching slots. In my opinion, that goes to Luffy. And the reason for that is that in One Piece Treasure Cruise the slots are extremely important for your damage output and how well a team works out. Luffy is the captain of the crew. He is mainly the guy that pulls everyone together and makes everyone a better version of themselves. And that's why I will put the captain in the orb section. Next up, we have enemy buff reduction. The unit removes 5 turns of damage reduction and 5 turns of a defense up shield. That represents Jinbe, in my opinion. We have seen him multiple times where the Straw Hats were in a tough situation. He came in clutch with his help and his power, or maybe even with intel he had for the crew and helped them move past a very tough situation. Definitely someone we can all see break the enemy defenses. Moving on, we have crew debuff reduction. This is very easy. The doctor of the crew, Chopper, takes this one. And by the way, this is a very unique ability that the unit has. It can remove 5 turns of any debuff you want to from your crew. If your crew, for example, has 5 turns of increased damage taken, you can remove it. If it has 5 turns of unfavorable TNT slots, you can remove it. 5 turns of burn, you can remove it, and so on and so forth. Pretty obvious one, I think it goes to Chopper. Next up, we have 2 different types of damage boosting. We have an attack boost that easily goes to Zoro in my opinion, the brute strength, the swordsman of the crew, and then we have color affinity, which goes to Nami. Multiple Nami units in the game give you color affinity, and definitely she might not be the strongest member of the crew, but she can definitely help out in her unique ways. The fact that the attack boost is also higher than the color affinity boost represents that Zoro is a stronger character than Nami is. Moving on to the other category, first we have Robin that gives you a damage reduction shield for a 70% damage reduction. This one definitely represents Robin in my opinion, because first of all, she has a lot of units in OPTC already that give you a damage reduction shield or some kind of damage nullification. And even in the series, she is not really an aggressor, she's not an aggressive character, she is more strategic or even defensive sometimes, and of course protective over other members of the crew and even other characters, like Rebecca for example. Next up we have Brook, who gives you healing and specifically for 4343 HP, and that number actually symbolizes his devil fruit and very obviously represents Brook. Brook is also a very lively character. He plays music, he throws out jokes and puns, So of course he can make the other members of the crew feel better, and at the same time he drinks milk and he's all bones, so he heals. So in my opinion, healing for Brook makes sense. Finally, in this category we have Usopp, who delays the enemy. Tons of his units in the game actually do that, and even in the series, Usopp is someone who will try to stall until he gets backup with his lies or even different other techniques. So definitely the delay is for him. Proceeding to the next category, we have the limit break abilities, and of course the crew has 3. The first one, ship bind reduction, very obviously goes to Frankie because he's the shipwright of the crew. Next we have critical hit, and I think that also goes to Frankie simply because he makes a lot of strong attacks with the intention to do as much damage to the enemy as possible. He is flashy and he also tries to do a lot of damage with one hit, hence why I think he takes 2 out of the 3 limit break abilities. The last limit break ability is hunger reduction, and that of course goes to Sanji. He feeds everyone on the crew, so I think this is a given. Sanji though also takes the sailor abilities, in my opinion. These provide attack, RCV and HP plus 100 to all of the crew, and also make size slots beneficial. Sanji, of course, because he's the chef of the crew, provides power to everyone to actually do what they do best, while also making size slots beneficial just because he has tons of size units in the game. I think it kind of makes sense. Then again, the size slots beneficial might just be because the unit in general is Psi. Finally, we have the super type abilities category, and everyone actually is included here. We have the monster trio, in my opinion, to apply damage that actually penetrates barriers and defensive effects. And maybe even Jinbe could be in this category because quite a few of his One Piece Treasure Cruise units provide some kind of damage, but I thought that the monster trio is a better representation simply because most of the time if someone is hurt or maybe disrespected, they do not care if the enemy is stronger or has an advantage over them, they just attack. The remaining 7 members of the crew I would say are responsible for the -1 cooldown in specials, because we do not have a lot of effects here, but at the same time each of them can be very helpful to the monster trio in some very critical moments. Here is the full graph for you to look at. I would love to know your opinions in the comments below. Do you agree with me, or do you think that maybe a specific action represents a different character from the crew? Maybe someone can say that Sanji is a bit misrepresented, especially as a part of the big 3 and a crew member for so long, but I think that being the chef of the crew, you are the backbone of the crew because you feed everyone, you keep everyone alive pretty much. So for him to have the hunger reduction limit break ability and the sailor abilities, most of the time before the time skip especially, we saw Sanji being more strategic and not just brute force like Luffy and Zoro can be sometimes, so it does make sense to me for him to not have a damage boosting buff. Let's now take a look at the advantages and also disadvantages of the Straw Hat crew unit. Let's start with the advantages. They are an amazing One Piece Day unit, as I have already said multiple times during this video. As a captain, they have rainbow damage, which might be locked behind an HP wall and you need to have maximum HP, although if you are able to do so, they can be a very strong captain and be in a specific group of 3 units in the game that can actually have this ability. The other 2 of course are Bullet and the Germa 66 family if you have them as sub and take over as a captain. The Straw Hat crew is also a great combination with V3 Law. They are free spirit and fighter, so they work as a sub to V3 Law, but if they are captain, Law will not only manipulate RCV, TND, MT and bomb slots into matching, the only kind of orbs that the Straw Hat crew doesn't manipulate, but Law will also give them an orb boost and a chain lock between 2 chain boundaries. also two things that the Straw Hat crew doesn't have in their arsenal. Law is also Psy, so he can be a super type Psy character with the Straw Hat crew as captain, which of course is an amazing thing. Another advantage is that they are a very versatile super type legend. They do a lot of things, so even if you do not want to use them as captain because you think they are not strong enough or you have a better option for a specific quest, you can still use them as a sub, and then they can help you from multiple angles simply because they do so many things. Finally, for the advantages, they have access to great supports. You can attach limited rare recruit support Carrot on them because of Nami. You can attach limited rare recruit support Brûlée. You can attach limited rare recruit support Connie's, V1 6 plus Rayleigh, and many more supports. Of course, the Straw Hats have some of the better supports in the game, so that is awesome, but at the same time, you cannot attach any Straw Hat supports to your team. While that is definitely a loss for your crew, the Straw Hat supports in a lot of situations actually support each other, so it is not a huge loss. Moving on to the disadvantages now, because not everything is bright with this unit. First of all of the Straw Hats are in one unit. As I said already, that can impact your supports, but it can also impact the subs or crewmates of your team. You cannot use this unit as a captain and then also use a Sub-Zoro unit or a Luffy unit and so on and so forth. At the same time, if you use them as a sub, then you cannot have V2 Snakeman, for example, as your captain. If you have them as a friend captain though, everything is pretty much fair game. Another disadvantage is that they are a Psy super type unit, and Psy has many great options. V3 Boa Hancock of course and Roger are two of the very obvious ones. Next up, they have an HP based captain ability, and as I said, it does make sense based on the One Piece series, but it is still an inconvenience for One Piece treasure cruise. Finally, for the disadvantages, I would say that they are not a broken unit, since I see that a lot of people believe they should have been, since they are the Straw Hats all together for the first time. In my opinion, that is not really a disadvantage, but I can definitely see someone who thinks that way. So for some of you that might be a disadvantage, for some of you it might not, and that's exactly why the question mark is in parentheses. And that is everything I had to say for the new Straw Hat Crew Legend for One Piece Day. I hope you enjoyed this video, leave a like if you did for more One Piece Treasure Cruise content to come, and of course comment down below your opinions on what I said and on what this unit represents. Thank you so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.